If I got into an argument, I would walk away when I got too hot. Like I said, my temperature rose. I knew to get out of it. A couple of friends of mine came and said, "Are you afraid of this guy?" No. Why'd you walk away? I'm afraid of me.
I've never had a time in my professional life where Americans have been more concerned about their own self-protection. Welcome to part 2 of my interview with Sammy the Bull Gravano, former underboss for the Gambino family, second in command, who actually really ran everything. John Gotti obviously was the title and the Don, and he was shown the respect. But as you learn, Sammy was the one that really had the power and really had the relationships that was going on. He understood how to run an organization like that. It's one thing to be able to take over. It's very easy to shoot somebody and kill them. In retrospect, if you're looking at violence as far as the world is concerned, it's rare that you can do that and then run the organization after. And he was able to do that, and he talks more about how he did that in this part of the interview and some of the challenges that they had. And it's just an interesting view. An organization that it depends on violence is a criminal organization, and yet this group did have a code, and the code wasn't because they were good people; is because it kept everybody in line. And I think that's something worthwhile to take note of during this time. How they ran their organization compared to, we'll get in later in the interview, we'll talk about today's criminal element and how a lot of them don't have any kind of a code that these guys had. Now, when I say code, I got to say it again. This is not saying they were good guys. It's just they found if they didn't have this in place, you couldn't control everybody. How do you control a bunch of predators, a bunch of alphas? And this is how they did it. And so it's interesting to hear how he was able to use that. And he is, as you can see, he's very persuasive, and he is very savvy when it comes to human nature. So without further ado, here's part 2 of my interview with Sammy the Bull Gravano. Do you see any difference between when you were growing up, the way you grew up and you got into it, and now you've done, like you said, you did 22 years, and the kids that you're seeing now and the other gangs that are coming up, and I hear from a lot of guys from your era that were in, they're saying, the kids that are coming up right now just jump to violence way quicker. Like there's a lot more of that type of an approach. I thought it was interesting when you went to prison. It's the stories of John Gotti going and then having to have like the Aryan Brotherhood or whoever try to protect him. But you went in, you again, this goes back to this idea of understanding human nature and talking. You were able to negotiate your own protection basically as yourself. You just right. They knew who you were. I think there's a level of respect, obviously, that you probably had when you went in there. But I thought it was interesting how you were able to go to all the different gangs and deal with them.
When I went in, I never walked around, I'm Sammy the Bull, my shit don't stink, I'm right. This, I'm that. I didn't have to pay no groups. I wouldn't pay a group. I went in, I got all these tattoos in prisons. When I went in the second time and I got a 20-year sentence, I went in with a label of that you cooperated with the government, you're a snitch or a rat, or whatever they want to call you. Right. I didn't think I was coming out. That's what all these tattoos, I said, whatever I'm going to do, as soon as I come up against it, I'm going to kill somebody in prison or whatever. Yeah. I was very friendly towards people. Different races, black guys, white guys, Irish guys, and a lot of Irish guys didn't get along with Italians years and years ago. But I got an Uncle Danny who's an Irish guy, I love him. And so I didn't come in with any prejudices or anything or hate in my heart. I did what I had to do. If I got into an argument, I would walk away when I got too hot. Like I said, my temperature rose. I knew to get out of it. A couple of friends of mine came and said, "Are you afraid of this guy?" No. Why'd you walk away? I'm afraid of me. I think I'm going to get out of prison. If I do something crazy, I'm not. Right. So, you have to think. I never had problems with guys, but I did tell guys, bro, You're much stronger than me. Because I went in, I was already, when I first went in, on the 20-year bid, I was 55 years old.
Yeah.
So when I was in my 60s or whatever, I told guys, listen, you're a strong guy, I can see it, bro. And we're arguing, we're going to wind up in a battle. I'm telling you, kill me, bro. I'm going to fight back. I can hit. Maybe I'm going to get lucky out with a punch. I'm going to break your ass. Maybe I won't. But I'm telling you, if you win, you better kill me. Because I'm not taking that beat. I'm coming back, I'll make a shank, and I'm telling you right to your fucking face, I will kill you. So if you want to go, let's go. A couple of times I did get into a couple of fights, and it's cool. I don't care about winning or losing. I go in the cell, I'll fight with you. I think you will beat me. You yourself, I think you can beat me up. But you're going to go, it's almost like a fighter's in the ring. You're going to have a lot of respect for me. You're going to say, this little fuck, he fought. I hit him a million times. He should have went down. He didn't go down. He fought like a bastard. Right. You develop that respect, two fighters in the ring of boxers. At the end of the fight, they killed each other. They're hugging each other.
Right.
They're hugging each other not because of who won and who lost. Even the guy who won, he respects how hard this guy fought back.
Right.
The stamina, everything he put into this. So that's what I would do. I don't care about winning or losing. I know one thing. I'm not backing up, and I'm going to fight. And I'm going to fight my ass off. And at the end, you'll respect me.
Yeah.
You know, I told one guy, it was a black guy, real big guy. We got into an argument, and I said, listen, we're going to go in the cell. Stupid for us to fight out here in front of guards. We'll go in the cell. But you can't win. He was way younger than me, 30 years younger than me. I can't win. And the black guys that I was friendly with, they came around right away. Right. I don't think they were going to let this happen. So the guy says, what do you mean I can't win? I said, listen, we go in the cell, you'll beat the shit out of me. Word will get out that you beat up Sammy the Bull, who's 30 years older than you. So you beat up an old man. You're not going to get too many kudos for that. But I could still hit. If I get lucky and hit you with a shot and daze you a little bit, I'm going to knock you on your fucking ass. And that word will go around that old man, Sammy the Bull, broke your fucking ass. He started laughing. All the black guys started laughing. He says, you're right. So awesome. we laughed. We have coffee. We talking. So I had that attitude in prison, so I didn't have trouble with people. Right. I gravitate to a tough guy. Yeah. I relate to them very easily. You know, I don't like a weasel type of guy, weak. But I gravitate to tough guys, and I'm not afraid of them because I like them.
Right.
And I didn't have that much problem, too many problems. You know, once in a while I had a little bit of a problem, and I had a fight. I got, you know, I don't even know if I won or lost. We threw a whole bunch of punches. We're both a little bleeding, and the guy's grabbing and pulling it apart. So I don't even know if I won or lost, but it don't matter to me. Right. You know, so it's the way you conduct yourself. John conducted himself with a tremendous attitude like, I'm John Gotti. Right. And he was very racist. He was really, a lot of people don't know that he was a racist. And he said a lot of bad racist comments and stuff like that. And some black guy beat him up, really bad, gave him a bad beat. And that's how he went to the Aryan brothers he paid the money to protect him. Yeah. I didn't need that. I didn't want that because I didn't have that attitude. So if you don't have that attitude, a lot of times a guy won't, why would he want to just beat you up? Right. Unless he wants to make a name of himself. I killed Sammy the Bull and put the little teardrop on his eye. Right. That, you know, some nut. But the normal guys and stuff, and I got along with people like that. I always did. So, and prison was no different. So I didn't need anything really. We played cards or something. If I got into an argument, 4 or 5 guys got up. And it wasn't just white guys, it could have been black guys. I got along good with everybody. So they would get up, right. Especially when I was older. Yeah. And because I got out of prison, I was 72. And then I would tell them, you know, because I don't want this whole thing to happen. All right. And then I would talk to the guy on the side, and we would just iron it out. You know what I mean? Maybe I was wrong. If I was wrong, I apologize. But You were wrong. I'm not no fucking bitch. You're not going to talk to me that way or do this or do that. So I really didn't have that many. I didn't need guys to protect me.
Yeah.
And so I never did that. John did it because of that beating, and he went to them and he wanted the ABs to kill this guy, and they actually, that's how they started making money on him.
Yeah.
And then the prison was smart enough to know once they saw the ABs, they figured this kid's going to get killed, and they moved him.
Right.
And what John didn't realize, you're a boss on the street, you got an army behind you, and this is this. Fucking jailers, these guys are doing life, they're doing tough bits, they're physically big guys, some of them work out all the time. You can't walk around and just think that you're John Gotti and start calling shots with them. They won't give a fuck who you are. Yeah. And so I guess he learned that the hard way, and I'm surprised because he went to prison once
for you
before.
mentally. That was the other thing I had a question on. You guys, you came up, you built what you built. You were running. I mean, it must have been amazing to be in New York during that time. I mean, with what you guys were running. I mean, anywhere you went in the city, I'm sure it was there. You go from having that kind of power, that kind of influence, and then you're in jail. And like you said, it didn't break you though. You know, I mean, but that's a lot of people couldn't take a fall like that and lose that influence and that that ability to go around the city and be who you are. And then you go into they threw you some serious time and put you in some serious situations. And how mentally what was the adjustment like? What did you tell yourself? Did you have to tell yourself anything? I mean, you seem like you're pretty consistent throughout your life, but that's a big hit for anybody.
Yeah, it is a big hit. Listen, I started my bit. I did 6.5 years in the hole. Yeah. Just that alone, people can't fathom what it is to be locked down in a hole for 6.5 years. But that's how I started that bit. And you don't have the same power, but you can.
Could you just explain for people, because I know the people that will be watching for me, you're in the hole. Will you explain what that means to them just briefly so they understand the severity of what you're talking about?
I'm in the hole. I live in the hole. In other words, it's a cell by myself. When I was in the ADX Supermax, I'm in a cell by myself, 24 hours a day. There's a shower, there's a toilet, there's a bed. It's a piece of concrete, little plastic mattress. Nobody is ever in that cell with me. And that's how you have to do your time. And you can get 1 hour a day, most of the times, not all the time, to go in a yard with a group of guys. Right. Not a big group in the ADX Supermax. In a penitentiary, there's more guys in there. But it's complete solitary confinement. And there's not even, you're not even with another inmate. Right. So it's the toughest thing. I tell people now, go in your bedroom, take whatever you want in there with you, close the door, and stay in there 6 weeks. See if after a while you're going stuck crazy. Yeah. You'll be banging on the door after a week or two, let me out of here. But you can't come out. They'll slip some food under the door for you. We got it through a slot. But they'll give you a little food. You'll take a shower in the room. You'll play solitaire. You'll do some sit-ups, some push-ups. You'll get a 12-inch black and white TV with no sound. You need earplugs. You need a wire with earplugs to hear it. If you take the earplugs out, you can't hear it. So there's no noise in the place. The prison is underground. So it's almost airtight and soundproof. If somebody's 3 rooms away from you, they can't hear you. You'll put your clothes in a bag and give it to them. They'll go wash it. Hours later or the next day, they'll throw that bag back in. Not pressed, ironed, folded, all wrinkled. They throw the whole bag in the machine with everybody else's bags. Guys lose it in there. I've seen so many guys lose it. They just, after they hang up. or they try to kill themselves, or you'll hear them screaming or moaning, or it's the most unbelievable thing in the world. I had one visit in the ADX Supermax. My wife came and visited me, my ex-wife. And she's on, there's a big, thick glass.
Right.
She's on one side, I'm on this side. There's a camera over me looking at her, one looking over at me. She can go through that door, and there's a room with machines. She can buy food, potato chips, soda. They bring me a tray. They open up the slot, they give me the tray. Yo, there's no utensils in there. Eat with your hands. So I'm in there. It's soundproof. The only way she can hear me, I have a phone, she has a phone.
Right.
So I'm on a phone, I'm looking at her, and I'm eating with my hands like an animal. I think that's what they make you. They make you become. I hit a buzzer for a guard to come. Female guard came. I said, I have to go to the bathroom. I was in there a few hours. She said, okay. I cuffed up. I put my hands behind me, cuffed up. She took me out, took me down the hall, regular chain link fence wrapped around a toilet bowl. I went in. I put my arms back. She took the cuffs off. She said, go ahead. She's standing as close as you are. I said, could you turn around or could you walk down the hall? I had to take a crap.
Right.
I never did that in front of a woman in my life.
Right.
She says, I have to stand here. I'm a guard, and I have to watch. You have to watch me go to the bathroom?
Jesus.
Yes. I had to go. It's the most humiliating thing I've ever done in my life. I was taking a crap and almost crying on the bowl, looking at her. I had tears on my fucking eyes, welling up. I never felt like that in my life. When I got back to the cell, I told my wife, don't let nobody come here no more. Don't let nobody come here. We just had a $2,000 phone call. Don't let nobody come. I never had a visit there. I refused visits. And there's another time a female guard came to me. She was a nurse. And she was reading some paper to me. And there's a row of bars, there's a safe area, and then there's the door. So she's in that little safe area. And she was talking to me for a while. I was so hungry for conversation. When she went to give me the paper back through the bars, I don't know what made me do it. I grabbed her finger. I only caught her pinky.
Right.
And I begged her not to leave. She looked at me. Sammy, I know what you're going through. Let go of my finger. They're going to see this. There's cameras all over. They'll come in here. They'll kill you. Let go. She covered my finger with her body so they couldn't see it. And I let go. I apologized. She said, no, don't apologize. You've been in here a long time. Do some push-ups. Do some meditation. Do some deep breaths. You're a strong man. Don't let them break you. I'll never forget this woman. She left. That's solitary confinement to the maximum level that you could imagine.
Why 6.5 years? Why? Like I don't understand were they deliberately trying to break something out of you, or there's something they wanted from you?
In my opinion, yeah, they wanted to break me.
Okay.
They wanted to break me. Because there's no reason, when the ADX Supermax, they get guys who kill people within the prison system.
Right.
They lose control of these guys. Yeah. After a while, they don't know what to do. It happened once, it's happened again. Yeah. They don't know what to do with them no more. Right. So they put them in the ADX Supermax. They got something for you in the prison system for everybody. Right. And they put you there, and you're done with killing, you're done with everything. They had it up to here with you, and then you're in there. Or whatever reason it may be. I went in there was no reason. When I went there, they came and they said, what did you do? in the system. I said, I didn't do anything. I just got locked up. What do you mean? I was in regular, like the Arizona state prison when I first got busted, and I wasn't in the hole there, but then I was in, the feds busted me, so I was constantly being pinched, and I was in different places, and they would just keep me in the hole most of the time. And then I went into the ADX Supermax. Finally, they got rid of me, and they put me in the Supermax. And there was no reason. I didn't commit any violence. I didn't do anything.
Right.
So they actually beefed the warden. They said, you know, we need the beds in here. Because they needed, in the serious part of the ADX, there's, I think, 400 beds.
Mm-hmm.
So they want a bed for these real guys who lost it,
Right.
so to speak. And or really seriously, you can't just, they'll kill every 3 seconds. So they said, you know, you didn't do anything, you don't belong in here. And I said, well, I didn't come here by cab, they brought me here, bro. So what do you want me to do? And they tried to get me out, they couldn't get me out. For some reason, the government, I did a 5-year bit, and when I got out, I recommitted a crime, and I think it was payback. They wanted to just crush me now.
That one. That was the ecstasy
Yeah.
the hit that they got you on.
Right, it was the ecstasy case. It wasn't even the case itself, it was dealing ecstasy, lending money.
Yeah.
There was no violence in the case.
Right.
So wow, how did I wind up in this place?
Yeah.
So
Is it, well, that's the interesting part is that you they probably didn't like your first deal that you got. They, you know, like I heard people say that, like, you know, they didn't think 5.5 years was enough for you the first time around.
yeah, it was 5 years. Yeah, but no, I think the government was real happy about it.
Yeah.
You know, I give an example how happy they were. I was shocked that I got 5 years, but I got 5 years. The judge wasn't stupid.
Right.
When I went back, I still had 7 months to go. I had almost the whole time in.
Right.
So I went back, and guys were just packed around the staircase when I came in.
Yeah.
Holy shit. The warden, when I got back, called me in his office. He said, Sammy, a lot of people are mad in the prison that you got, 5 years. You're involved in 19 murders. He says, are you going to be okay? I said, yeah, I'm going to be okay. I don't give a fuck if they're happy or mad. I don't care. What's the difference? What do I care?
Right.
So I knew that when I walked in, they all came to the staircase, and I knew some of them were probably bitching and moaning that I got a short sentence.
Right.
And they're in there longer than me or whatever. It's like my friends came right up, hey, Sammy, great, holy shit, you got a 5-year sentence, you'll be out. Yeah, 7 more months. I said, you know, the crazy part about it? What? If I would have killed another 10 or 15 drug dealers, I would have did no time at all. So all them guys who were drug dealers and bitching and moaning, oh my God, they couldn't even imagine what I said. So I went back in, I finished my bit,
Right.
and when I got out, the FBI got in touch with me. They said, hey, Sammy, you want to hear something crazy? What? They said, after you got sentenced to the 5 years, not even 3 weeks later to a month later, we got 1,500 calls across the country from state and federal prisons. Give me a Sammy deal and I'll cooperate. So what that did was change the whole tide of things like that. And God knows how many people cooperated after that. You know, it brought to light that if you cooperate, you can do a lot less time.
Right.
And,
live up to the deal.
and this thing went crazy as far as people. So the government, I think, was pretty happy. When I recommitted a crime, the ecstasy thing, that they embarrassed them,
Right.
so to speak. And to them, it's an embarrassment is a big thing.
Yeah.
You know,
They're going to throw everything they can at
so
you.
they're going to kill me now. And,
Yeah.
this time around, they're going to smash the shit out of me. So I get busted in Arizona by the state, exaggerated the whole case, and then I got busted in February of 2000. In January of 2001, I get indicted again by the federal government, a mirror case.
Right.
In 2002, I get indicted again for a cold case with the Iceman. And so I'm in 3 different cases at the same time. But I get 20 years with the feds. I take a plea. I get 20 years with the feds, 19 with the state. I beat the other case, the cold case. And I went in and started it at 55 and went through this whole cycle. But I just said, I'm going to live like a man, and I'm going to die like a man. Whatever it is, it is.
Yeah.
And that's the way I always conducted myself. I conducted myself like that in prison. When I got out in 2017, I started doing some stuff, and then I went into this social media stuff and doing interviews like this and talking, and I started doing a podcast, and I'm working on a scripted show to do my life story. And I deal like that. Like when I met you, I'm not trying to be a tough guy, and I respect you, I respect where you're coming from, I heard a lot of good things about you, so I just come in the way I am. If I meet a nut, I know how to deal with it. If I don't meet a nut like you, and it's pleasurable to me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. How was it when you ran guys and you had to enforce discipline amongst your ranks and stuff? If you had a guy go off the radar, maybe he did a bad deal with somebody, made your organization look bad or something like that. How swiftly were you guys on top of stuff like that?
well, we're on it. You know, I'll give you an example of that. Some guy, I just took him with my crew. I read him, you know, the riot act, how we conduct ourselves and what goes on. I don't give a shit about everybody else, what we do.
Right.
And he went to one of the guys in my crew and he says, "Oh my God, Sammy ripped me a new ass. I think I'm in big trouble." The guy told me, he was yelling at you? Yeah. What'd you do? I did a little drug deal. I know he told me no drugs, no this, no that, but I did it, and he was really fuming. Yeah, you'll be all right. What do you mean I'll be all right? I'm telling you, he was fuming. Listen, Sammy likes you. That's why he was fuming. He wants you to do the right thing, and he likes you, and he's yelling at you. It's forcing you to do the right thing. You did the wrong thing. If Sammy's smiling and patting you on the back, that's nothing. You're gonna go.
Yeah.
He's not somebody, he don't play.
Right.
So he likes you. Don't worry about it. But don't keep doing the wrong thing, bro. Because so that fear of I'm gonna do what I have to do, whether I like you, whether I love you, and I'm not gonna hurt you just because I don't like you. I'm going to try to stay within Cosa Nostra, our rules and what's right and what's wrong, and be fair. Because if you're too violent, then people are afraid of you.
Right.
And they don't want to be even near you, one. Or they fear you so much, as soon as they do something wrong, and they'll kill you. So you have to be something to everyone. But you have to have rules. You have to enforce your rules. And people will understand it. You're not vicious. You're not bloodthirsty. He's going to go by the rules. Right. You want to be in this crew? You want to be a drug dealer? I don't look down on drug dealers. Go do what the fuck you want. Go do it with somebody else. There's a lot of guys who do that. Go. You know, and we have certain rules and regulations. And I would tell a guy one time, I says, "You think I'm a punk?" "No, Sammy, come on. Why would I never said, no, I know you didn't say nothing." I says, "I'm asking you that question because do you see when I walk with John Gotti, it's raining, I'm holding the umbrella over him. When he goes to open the door, I open the door. When he comes out, I move, I'm a step behind him." You know what that is? That's not fear. That's called respect.
Yeah.
You have to learn respect. So you know I'm not afraid of him. I just respect him and his title, who he is. That's what you've got to. When you see me doing that, if I could be respectful, then you guys could be respectful. Not only to me, I'm talking to everybody. That's what we're about. That's what Cosa Nostra truly is. Not when somebody looks and says, "Oh, look at Sammy, he's afraid of him." He's, fuck him. What he says, it don't matter. It's what we are and how we think.
Right.
So my crew understood that. We had rules. I understood it. I'm not the toughest guy in the world, so I always knew to check myself. And I was never evil, like I never talked behind people's backs. I never did sneaky shit. I never beat nobody. Those are people walking around with a guilty conscience.
Yeah.
You know, we had a deal. We were supposed to cut this up, but I kept something and I didn't cut it up. I'm walking around with fear now. I wonder if he ever finds out. What is he going to do? He wants to talk to me. I wonder if he found out. I wonder if he knows. I never had those fears. Yeah. So I taught my people that's what it is.
What were you guys like when you guys made your move and you took over? How was that transition when you took over, as far as situational awareness? Were you guys always looking over your shoulders at that point? Were you, because that was a big move that you guys did when Castellano.
Oh, absolutely.
That was huge. I mean, I was a young kid when that happened. But as an organization, you guys then had to start running things. You know, now it was your turn to run things and stuff. And that transition, as far as how much was, you know, taking over the organization, making sure everything runs smoothly, and the other thing is also, you know, looking over your shoulder and making sure that, you know, people aren't getting you yet.
Yeah, I'm a hit guy. I'm a good part of my life.
Right.
I'm a professional hitman. And I understand what's done and what's not done. And I'm always aware of certain things. Where I sit, how I sit. I mean, it's just a way of life for me.
Right.
Even now. I don't pay as much attention, but then I did. Yeah. But when we took over, it was about fear. You're not going to take over in such a violent move. It rocked the whole mafia.
Right.
And we had to keep that violent threat out there. You can't relax no more. Right. When you do something that violent, that big. So there was a lot of us now. Yeah. And we were always on guard. And if anybody did the wrong thing, we were going to kill them. Yeah. You keep it together by showing bodies. Fear. Fear is what keeps it together now. Right. Fear is going to make them not fuck with you, not think, don't be stupid. That fear factor. And then you can ease up and have relationship with people and show that you're human, your human side. Right. It starts with fear, and then it turns into respect. To turn it from fear to respect to love is a serious, serious thing that is extremely hard to do. It's very hard. You could make somebody fear you. You could make somebody like you. You could even make somebody love you. To get the whole bunch together, it's extremely hard. Machiavelli wrote a book. He used to, you hear the word Machiavelli. Yeah. He wrote a book. Well, he wrote a bunch of books. But he was an advisor to kings and tells the king how to take over and become the king, how to run the kingdom, how to make the people love you or like you or respect you. So you need those things. Fear. They can never forget that you're dangerous. Yeah. You do kind things for somebody, all of a sudden they like you. They ain't a bad guy. To love you, that's another whole degree. You're not even nowhere near my level. I don't mean you now. I mean out in the street. If right. You were out in the street, you're not even nowhere near my level. I find out your wife or your kid is in the hospital, and he's by his kid's side or his wife's side. Let's get in the car. Why? I'm going to go there. And I go to the hospital. I turn around. You turn around and you say, hey, Sammy, what are you doing here? Well, I wanted to see, how are you? You need anything? How's the kid? How's this? How's that? If that's coming from your heart, he'll know it. Right. Those things turn to love. The respect. Wow, Sammy the Bull came here to see me with the kid. He brought a little basket for my kid or something. What you want as a person. And when you walk around with an air, we'll get back to John Gotti, who got beaten with the black guy. people aren't going to like you. But if you have respect and you got love in your heart, it comes back. It really does come back. Then I don't even have to worry about you. As big as you are, as tough as you are, I don't have to worry about you no more.
Yeah.
You have a different feeling towards me. I get into an argument, you're not one of my top guns. Boom, you're getting up. Hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's the love. Does that. Not because you're a tough guy, not because you're dangerous. The love and the respect you started to build for me. So it's a combination of different things. It's not something I knew, but growing up in life, having a great mother and father, legitimate people, having a great mentor, Tato, I learned these things. You get that. There's no colleges that teach you wisdom. You get that in time, through age.
You know, I tell people all the time, the longer I'm in the business, the more I realize that the physical aspects of training people really, it drops down to like the 20% level. And really what you have to do to master, self-protection is you really have to understand human nature. And I hope you are benefiting from this conversation. The beginning of the conversation, he starts out, I talk about when he was in prison, he didn't have to get protection, unlike John Gotti. He went in and he just was himself, and he talks about how he did that. He talks how he communicates with people and how he used humor, how he used all this kind of stuff. Why is this useful to us? It's because so many people default to violence right away, and they don't understand that there's other ways of reading people. There's other ways of getting around them. And for this guy to be able to navigate prison, he's not a large man. He's a small guy. I mean, I was much bigger than him. He gives me a hard time, during the thing about me being a big Irish guy and everything. And we go back and forth, but no, he's a very persuasive individual. And you saw at the end, he started to share, at the end of the interview, he started to share how he did his organization. Yes, they have to fear me, but also how he makes sure that he reaches out to people. He does stuff. You hear a lot of this in business, masterminds and how to run your company type stuff. And these guys are just doing it naturally. They understand it. He talked about Machiavelli, the Prince. He talks about, how to run an organization, how to run a kingdom. These guys are not stupid men. They're incredibly smart and just dangerous at this level. But to underestimate them that way is just ridiculous. So I hope you understand, how important human nature is and understanding human nature. It will save your ass. I can't tell you how many times, because you're able to read a situation prior to it getting violent. And that's why I bring you interviews like this. So that was our second part. And next will be our final part with Sammy the Bull. And again, please, if you like this channel and you love these videos, please share them with everybody. Let people know about the channel. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell. And then also go to where we can talk straight to each other. Go to timlarkin.com. Give us your email. We'll start you off on a masterclass that will help putting together a real self-defense strategy for you, uncensored. Until next time, stay safe.